Good evening, good evening. Oh, Simple sits in the correct room and taps foot. Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought I would put both up, and then there's something in the diary, so there's a little bit of advanced warning for people. Are you okay this evening, Simples? Hi, Voodoo Queen. Hello, my love. I was supposed to be doing this tomorrow, but I'm going to do it twice. Hiya, Sharon. Hello, my dude. Yeah, well, I suddenly decided to do one tonight as well because I can't be on famous last words, but I can't be on very late tonight because it's my first day back at work tomorrow. And last night, anyone who's heard it, I think, did you listen to the whole thing, Sharon? God, it was absolute bedlam. Oh, first day back for you as well, Voodoo. Oh, I've been off for 3 weeks and it's an absolute killer. So just while we're waiting for some chaps and chapesses to come in, oh, Sharon, well, you heard me. Because I'm on this damn vape, I couldn't breathe. I sounded like Muttley. But yeah, it was, it degenerated rapidly. But yeah, hello, 'tis me, Danny. Oh, and Voodoo Queen, I'd love to be independently wealthy. Oh, pork chop, I'm lurking again, so won't be causing trouble tonight. Yeah, can I just, well, welcome pork chop and thank you. Obviously, I'm sure if you get a minute, you will chip in at some point, but hopefully I'll try and stick to the script tonight. Just for anybody who wasn't in last night, that there pork chop was the main instigator of all the hilarity. Oh, Meadow. Hello, Kiss and Chat. Every time I come to listen, my little boy decides he wants to wake up and party. If I'm not chatting, I will be listening. Oh, hello, Meadow. It's really nice to see you again, love. Oh, Sharon said pork chop, hilarious. Yeah. Hi, Sheila. Hello. Yeah, it wasn't, there weren't many of us in the chat. I think there were quite a few people watching, but there was a handful of us in the chat. But oh, like I said, anybody who's listened to it from 3 hours and 26, just for that, I don't know, about half an hour, 45 minutes, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I was laughing that hard. Yeah, and it gave us all, I've been smiling all day, and me and Mr. Sexy, I actually played it back, and we were sitting here while he was having his tea earlier, we were pissing ourselves laughing listening to it. So, 'tis me, Danny. Hello, pork chop. I've got to listen all the way through yet, but from the comments, you had everyone howling. Yeah, well, it actually starts. I think I time stamped it for you, Danny, in the comments before. I think it starts at 3:26. Simple as G's. Got corns on my ass waiting. I'm going to say hello to everybody. But that wasn't me. I didn't do it. Nobody saw me do it. You can't prove anything. I can just play back the video from last night. So, right. So, for those of you who missed, you were in last night, weren't you, Simples? We had last night. Hi, Cassius. Have you stopped laughing now? Because I had to replay it. I was sat here just howling laughing again earlier, Cassius. So it was bedlam, but we really needed that. We really needed that giggle, I think. Yeah, it was a really good laugh, wasn't it, Cassius? Don't apologise, pork chop. It's absolutely fine. It was bloody good fun. So I think we need to book you. We'll have to book you in advance and get a bit of pork chop hilarity coming in because, yeah, it was Great. Cassie went to sleep. My face was killing me. I know. It was my sides. And I think Green Eyes and Raven are probably not feeling not feeling pain-free either after all the laughing they were doing. So anyway, so for those of you who missed last night, what I'm going to be doing is a bit. You'll have to what, mate? I don't know. Do you know what? I can't remember what I just said then. Pork chop. I think did I say we'd give you a call or book you? Book you. That's it. I wasn't being rude. We'll have to book you like a turn. Yeah. So I did intend to do the very first one of these read-throughs was going to be Oh Simples was early and went to look at Kelly Thingamay. Oh, I don't know who that is. The first one I was going to do, which I'd already said I was going to do tomorrow, was the Vikings in America. But because I've said I'll do that, was going to be the first one because it's the first chapter in this book. However, because I then just decided, you know what, I'll come in tonight and we can catch up with other people and do a little bit of something different. So, and because I've got to be quite short tonight, I thought what we can do is have, if you're all okay with it, is have a tiny little bit of the history, tiny bit, not covering America. We'll do that tomorrow. Because for those people who don't know, yes, the Vikings arrived in America quite a few hundred years before Christopher Columbus set his little toes on the soil. Simple is sitting at the desk. So, yeah, are you taking notes? Have you got notepad and pen? So what I thought we'll do tonight then, I'll stick with the format for doing America tomorrow, but just have a little run through. I can tell you about this book, and then just do a little bit of, you know, Great Britain, really, the first contact or supposed contact with Vikings, and maybe just talk over a few of the things we talked about yesterday, such as surnames and if people's opinions of the Vikings, you know, if it was true, what people said about them, you know, these stories about the great warriors and so on. So that is what we're going to do tonight. And then I'll go back to the format tomorrow and we will cover tomorrow the Vikings and their history of they discovered from their perspective, America, North America. So if you're all sitting comfortably, I shall tell you about the book first of all, because I'm going to put it in the description, you know, to give the guy credit. The author of this book is a guy called Noah Brown, and the book title is called Ragnar Lothbrok and a History of the Vikings. Yeah, I'm back to work tomorrow as well, Sheila. I'm dreading it. So this book, and I'll just tell you guys who missed last night what it's about. I'll try and do as quick as possible. It's great. This is the book that Mr. Sexy got me for Christmas. And it's great. And it covers all the places that the Vikings either invaded and or settled and or discovered throughout the world. And it's a lot broader than you would think. So just to give you an overview, we've got America. Then you've got the British Isles, so England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. We have France. We have Russia. Greenland and Iceland. Then also Galicia, the Islamic Iberia and the Levant. So I want to cover all of those and hopefully, because these chapters are quite short, we might be able to get a couple in one shot, or we can just make them very short lives. But I want to devote tomorrow all to America, because we've got a lot of American friends who come in here, you know, and no matter what the time, they're always here. So I just think it's fair we cover America first, if you guys have got no objections to that. Denny said, "Oh, hugs to those returning to work tomorrow. It's been a good run." I know, I know. Well, I mean, I'm working from home, but you know, it's just one of those, isn't it? And then also, just before I finish on this bit of the introduction to the book, there are chapters on, so we've got things like Viking weapons, sports and entertainment, you know, what they did in the fun time. We've then got a whole segment on Viking art and Voodoo Queen. I mentioned you and Joe Mardre last night because obviously you've got kind of your arty loves and likes and background, and you know the way that the things that you're attracted to and that you find a lot of pleasure in. So there's a chapter on Viking art. And I did mention, and I said, you know, I think if anybody, I'm not saying nobody else would be, but I thought if anyone's going to find that bit interesting, I would reckon it would be Voodoo Queen and Joe Mardre. Oh, sorry, Voodoo, I just seen you. Some who didn't know they have Viking blood. Yeah, awesome. We were talking about you as well last night, which again I'll go through about the Viking finger. Just thought we'll give a little bit of a background tonight for those who haven't been in for the previous ones. There then is a chapter on Norse mythology. So it goes through everything, you know, like the gods and the beings, and then cosmology, you know, and then also the impact that Norse mythology has had on modern literature and television and films, so on. So we can touch on that. And then the final chapters are on the history of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden from the 14th to the 19th century. Now, just before I move on, I'm going to give you a little bit of information here that we got into a bit of a discussion over last night. And I'm sorry to those who heard it, but for the people who've come in tonight, I think it was quite interesting because Raven was in, and she is, I think, third generation Norwegian descendants, or from Norwegian immigrants, I should say. And as am I, Norwegian, of Norwegian descent. Oh, Sheila, thanks for doing this. Bam will be so proud. I can hear her Viking war crying out. Oh, I know, Sheila. I hope she does, and I hope she doesn't think that I'm pinching her her ideas, which I actually am. But you know, we were all saying how much we've missed listening to her reading, and you know, I loved the books, and obviously I won't be able to do this the same justice that Bam could, and it's not kind of storytelling, but it's something I love. I'm really interested in, and I love it. So, and it'll just give us something to do, you know, in between having our raucous, just general chit chats. So I thought maybe if I do a couple of these a week on the Vikings, and it'll give us, so, you know, at least a little bit of structure, and we all know what's going on. So you can choose to come in or not, depending if you find it interesting. So yeah, so if I go back to this little bit about the history, so Raven and I, pardon me, Raven and I were talking about surname endings, and my family surname is Johansson, and it's S-O-N. So Raven asked me before I'd mentioned this, and she said, "Is it S-E-N or S-O-N at the end?" And I said S-O-N, and her family are some of both. And because this, the final part of this book is relating to Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, I actually said to, which I don't think Raven was aware of it, I said, depending on the ending of your name, from if you're from Norway, will depend who was the ruler, you know, which country ruled at the time, because Norway was ruled by both Denmark and by Sweden at various points in history. So and it's similar to the, let's go back to the Anglo-Saxons who tried to fit in when the Vikings were ruling in certain parts of England. The Anglo-Saxons living in those, because the Vikings didn't wipe them all out. It's not as it's portrayed in the films and the television series and so on. You know, why kill everybody when you can still get people to work for you? Or, you know, if you want to be the lord of your manor, so to speak, well, you need serfs. They need to do the work. They need to farm the land, look after the animals and so on. So they didn't just go in and wipe everybody out in every single location that they decided to settle in. And because the Anglo-Saxons wanted to fit in a little bit more, a lot of them would start to adopt the Viking way of names. They were great farmers, Cassius. They were. That's what they were actually. They were really proud of themselves for their skill as farmers. But again, they were, it was a double-edged sword, wasn't it? They were fabulous farmers, but they were also amazingly skilled and vicious warriors. So the locals would try to adopt the Norse way of naming, and this thing happened in. No, oh, no, Green Eyes. I'm sorry, I've only just started, lovely. I've not got into it. I'm basically covering what we did in chat last night. Not all the hilarity, but just the little bits and pieces we covered last night. So you haven't missed anything you've not heard already. So this happened in Norway when Norway was under Danish rule, because the Danish name ending is SEN. So if my family had decided to pick that particular surname while we were under Danish rule, it would have been Johansen. But my family obviously wanted to fit in with the Swedes, who were at that time governing Norway. Hence, my family surname is Johansson. So that was just a little bit of interest, a little bit of an interesting fact. But it just shows how desperately some people want to fit in and not be slightly different. So it's exactly the same with some of the current English surnames. Now, some of them will have a Scandinavian origin, but things like Thompson. Yeah, that's right, Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. So you can always, if you ever see anybody with a Norwegian surname, if it ends in son or ends in sen, you can tell who the ruling country was in Norway at that time. So no, I doubt it. I don't know. I mean, maybe back in antiquity, Denny, I've got no idea. Because that was another thing as well we were talking about. It wasn't like England, in the Middle Ages, where we had monks and priests and people were literate, so they were writing things down, and we had the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Scandinavia, they didn't have that. Everything was by word of mouth, so it wasn't like there were church records with births and deaths and marriages and children and christenings and what have you. Everything was word of mouth. So it would be, unless I was related to some fabulously famous king or warrior that had been written about and they could trace every single bit back to modern day, it's very hard to know who you've been related to. It's not like over here. So what's Dennis said? My surname is Knowles and I'm not related to Beyonce. Shock. You're so funny. So the other thing, Green Eyes, as you've just come in, I'm actually going to do, because this was a bit impromptu tonight, it's just to do a kind of overview. I'm still going to stick to doing the Americas tomorrow. So we'll be doing the Vikings in America tomorrow. Tonight, I'm just going to go through the book, maybe read a little bit and just go over a very brief, like I'm just doing, throwing little snippets in here and there, and a little bit about the first contact that we think occurred in the British Isles. Now, something last night that Sid Vicious brought up was he'd asked a question, and he had said, is there any truth to what they say about all these different Viking warriors? Are the stories true? Are the tales true? Well, we haven't really got any way of knowing other than by contemporary reports, because, like I've just said, there weren't the written records in, say, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and wherever else. It was always by word of mouth. The skald they'd sing the song of your life, which wasn't a song, it was kind of the poem, but they'd tell the tale of your life. And And obviously the tale in the telling would get exaggerated. Yeah, that's right, Cassis. It was all the stories. Everything was word of mouth. So, if you wanted to get on the good side of whichever warrior you were singing the song of, well, of course you're going to make it sound slightly more impressive. And as I said to Sid last night, if you imagine that you've got, oh, hi, Lady Witch. Hello, lovely. Don't worry, we're doing America tomorrow. We're just doing a bit of a roundup tonight. So I'm going to stick to my promise. It will be Vikings in America tomorrow evening. Well, evening UK time. So, so you would either have the stories, the poems, the sagas that were being told and retold and maybe tweaked a little bit. And then also you potentially would have, if for example, we captured a couple of Vikings and we went, right, so your main fella here, this Johan Johansson, we'll use that name. Is he all right? Can we chat to him? Well, what are you going to do? You're not going to say, oh God, yeah, really reasonable guy. You're going to say, no, he breathes fire out of his arsehole and he's killed people from being the age of 3. He was killing grown men and he was tearing them limb from limb, and he's the size of a house. And so this is what happens, and this is how the legend starts. But obviously they're not going to say, that they're working for a warlord who's probably 5'4". They're going to make sure that he's 7 foot tall, because they still want to instill fear in whoever has captured them. And then the only way that you're then going to start to come across any form of truth is either if you are then on good terms with whichever Viking warlord or king or chieftain that you've been talking about. Once you get to know them, then the stories that have been told, you can say, oh yeah, they're true, or no, they're not. And this is what was written down in the Anglo-Saxon chronicles, the things that they did know about these warriors. So it's very hard to, if you can always trust the contemporary accounts, but it's very hard to know exactly how much is 100% fact or not. So there are always going to be tales attributed and fantastic deeds and heroism, just the same as any hero in any culture's legends. So that was that little part. Let me just check the chat. That Tormund character always pops to my mind when I hear of Vikings, from Game of Thrones, the tall, gorgeous ginger one. Oh, yes, I do. I know who. Yes, the wildling one. I like him. Oh, thanks, Green Eyes. I'm glad you're okay with this. Simples. My mother's maiden name is a very Irish name. Yeah, well, there's a lot of crossover, isn't there, Cassius, between Ireland and Scotland. There's a lot. We did talk about this a few nights ago, actually, that there are a lot of Scottish surnames in Ireland, which followed on from the clearances, didn't they? A lot of parents, a lot of people, a lot of Scots went over to Ireland when it was the Highland clearances. Yeah, and then, and like you saying, they came over in the 30s. And also don't forget, was it the 1860s? I can't remember the exact date. During the potato famine as well. So people were leaving Ireland in droves, and again, they'd either go to America, they'd go up on a boat and get to Liverpool, or they'd be up to Scotland. So, but for the most part, there's very little on the DNA side that separates the Scots and the Irish. Very little. We're all Celts. So, if I just give you a little, because I was trying to write a few notes down earlier. Now, the very first, if ever anybody says, when did the Vikings first invade England? And as most of you will know, the first, well, Sheila definitely, the history buff over there. everybody always says, oh yeah, 793 when the Vikings sacked the monastery at Lindisfarne. And you always hear about, there's that famous speech, isn't it, save us from the Northmen, O Lord, and that the monks had written down. And so that is always the very first time, 8th of June, 793. That's when your very first, the Vikings' very first attack was at the monastery at Lindisfarne. And it actually wasn't, because the very first documented raid in England was in 789 AD. So it was, it was a good few years before, was it 4 years before Lindisfarne? And that happened in Portland in Dorset. And they weren't called Vikings then. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle described them as heathen men. And that was the first ever recorded raid in England, but it's kind of overlooked now, whether it was because of the savagery of Lindisfarne and what happened there. And that was quite strange, really. And I'll move on to that in a minute. But basically what happened, I'll just explain for those who don't know. On the 8th of June in 793 AD, the Vikings came from the sea and they landed on Lindisfarne, which is also known as Holy Island. And Lindisfarne was home to a monastery. And the monks just, they lived there and worked there and died there. That was their little piece of heaven, if you will. And the monastery was very wealthy. And these monks, they weren't monks, were they? The priests, the friars. We'll call them monks. They were very educated. They did a lot of, I'm sorry, Simple Makeup. Oh, was it violent? That's not on Holy Island. Which one? Portland? No, Portland. There's not a great deal about it, but it wasn't as violent as Lindisfarne. I think that's why Lindisfarne is the one that everybody goes to, Simples, because it was so bad. So basically they landed on Lindisfarne and they began to basically ransack the monastery there. The monks that they caught, and it was a massive slaughter. The monks that they caught were either butchered, they threw some into the sea so that they'd drown, and the ones that they thought might be worth a little bit of something, they took them as slaves. And there was an archaeological dig on Lindisfarne a few years ago, and they actually found some evidence that there had also been another sacking, if you will, that obviously hadn't been recorded, because they found the remnants of burned bricks and bits of wood and pottery and so on. And I think I can't remember skeletons or bits of bone, but basically had shown that there had been another raid on Lindisfarne. Now, I'm not sure if it was before or after 793, but it hadn't been recorded. So it obviously became a bit of a go-to place, maybe for the wealth that was there. Just see what Tismy Jenny's fun. That's some weird irony, eh? Their first ransacking point was otherwise considered a slice of heaven. I know, Tismy. Oh my goodness, look who's here, Burren Witch. Sorry, Cooper's just heard me get excited because I see an old friend and he's got all cray. So I'll just stop there for a little second while everybody gets a chance to say hello to Burren. I had no idea. That is awful to hear. I live 50 miles away from that. What, from Lindisfarne? Yeah, it was absolutely brutal. It was brutal. Some of the skeletons that they found, and because obviously it continued to be a holy island, after the Viking raid. So people were buried there. And, you know, unfortunately, when they've seen some of the horrific injuries to some of these monks, you know, because they were peaceful men, weren't they? And the majority of them were elderly, so to speak, for the time anyway. You know, there were a lot of men over the age of 30. Well, if you think that back then, you know, the length of your life was considerably shorter than now. You know, when women got to 30, they were considered to be getting on a bit. So, yeah, it's very, very sad. I'll just do a little catch up for a second with Burren, and then I'll carry on, and I'll tell you why. About my thoughts on Lindisfarne anyway, about why I think it was quite unusual to be so savage. How are you doing, Burren Witch? We've you were discussed, not discussed, but you were mentioned a week or so ago in one of my lives. You know, we were talking about people that we haven't seen for ages, and the fact that, you know, no one had seen you around, so we were hoping that you'd realise we were doing lives. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Burren. Yeah, you have been missed. You know, we were mentioning quite a few people that we were hoping would realise that we were doing lives and would. Oh, sorry guys, I've been up the walls. Oh no, oh, I hope it's not been too hectic. Denny's just gone through a crazy house move a couple of days before Christmas, so yeah, she's everything's been a bit mad for her too. But it really is lovely to see you in here. Oh yes, you do make things, don't you? I remember. Very talented. I just cause havoc. So, although I'm going to skip a little bit, oh yeah, and it's lovely to see you, Burren Witch. It really is. So you'll have to set the notification bell, and then at least you know when we're coming live. And just in case you're not, if you sub to Bedtime Clown, because he's doing lives as well, him and Voodoo Queen. So we've got a couple of places that we can all still get together. Yeah, you grab a cup of coffee, Green Eyes. I'll just prattle around for a bit. Does anybody want to ask anything? Just while Green Eyes is getting a cup of coffee together, and just on what we've gone through so far, because I know Simples had asked a couple of things. So I'm happy to, because I think if I do this, if I do it in this way, when we start going through the chapters, talk for, you know, 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes and then stop, and rather than just going full pelt through a chapter, because if any of you guys are like me, I'll forget what I wanted to ask by the time we get to the end of the chapter, and then it does seem we move on to other things. So, oh, thank you, Burren Witch, thank you. Yeah, then you'll catch him. Denny has finished unpacking my clothes today. If I ever moan about having nothing to wear, please slap me. Yes. And just think of all those clothes that you're going to be able to fit back into in, you know, another couple of months or so. Right. Well, as there aren't any questions, I shall just carry on a little bit, because the reason I mentioned why I think Lindisfarne was quite oh, hang on, was it so violent because it was a religious site? To be honest, Simples, I don't think it was. You know, because they didn't really have a lot of experience of Christianity, so it wasn't like a revenge killing. You know, oh, these are Christians, let's kill them all. They basically landed. They wanted, you know, they wanted the wealth. They wanted, you know, they needed to make the money somehow, didn't they? And it was just part of that. You know, we're just going over there. We're going to steal animals. We'll steal food, because this was going to go back to Scandinavia with them. Oh, sorry. Let me just just before I carry on, Simples. Cassius, was Lindisfarne the first place? Where was the second? No, actually, Lindisfarne was the second. It's just the most well known. It was Portland in Dorset was the very first recorded raid. Do you know I had that on my head the other day? With a raise. So sorry, don't mean to put you off your train of thought. No, it's fine, Cassius. I'd rather you did. I'd rather you did. Like Simples is asking, and I'd rather cover it because we'll forget as you move on if I don't answer questions. If I know the answers, I'm not a massive scholar on it. I'm just a bit of a fanatic. Oh, hello, Lisa. Hiya, darling. So let me just go back to what Simples had asked. So yeah, and I just think because obviously they, we'll use Norway for example. So there wasn't farming land in Norway where the settlements were basically along the fjords, and farming land was at a premium. It was, the majority of that land there along the fjords wasn't farmable, so they needed to, feed the families, feed the villages, feed themselves, and obviously make the wealth, which then meant they could build more ships, and then they could go and raid more people and keep feed. And obviously the other part as well was they were trying to scout out other areas that they could take the families to, settle and farm, because it was a really, really meagre existence in those areas in Norway. So when they actually landed on Lindisfarne, all they wanted at that point, they didn't realise that the rest of of England as it was going to be such rich pickings, with such fantastic fertile land and all the opportunities. They just saw a quick opportunity for a load of unarmed men, fools. They weren't prepared to fight. It was just easy peasy, lemon squeezy. They went straight in there and they absolutely annihilated them, not realizing, I don't think, and this is where I'm going to move on to, which is why I think this was so violent compared to attacks in other places. They didn't realize what actually that settlement was. It was just a village with no women that they could take as slaves. The fellas were a bit wimpy. They didn't try and protect themselves. They just didn't, it served them right. They got what they got. Now, so that's why I don't think that was religiously motivated at all. It was just, they wanted what they wanted and they were just going to wipe people out for it. Now, let me just go, sorry, because there's a few more comments. I'm sorry about this, guys. Tismy Dennis put that's some weird, oh no, I'd already got that one. Sorry, my chat had just jumped up. All right, there's Tismy's. I've seen it and then it shut up the screen. I guess the Vikings were pleased they were relatively unchallenged. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I don't suppose they had much in weaponry, armor, all those skills. No, they didn't. They were basically a peaceful community of, for the most part, elderly men. And they were more or less self-sufficient. I mean, they did get some support, from donations and the crown. Obviously, they were very good to the monasteries, which is, Lindisfarne was relatively wealthy, and they'd do all the scribing. They'd be producing documents and Bibles and religious texts and doing all the beautiful. I'm sorry, I've done it again and got a brain fart. The beautiful medieval style, of the Saxon style of paintings that accompanied a lot of these religious texts. So they were famous for this, and that's how they basically stayed alive. But they were just a peaceful community of scholars and farmers. So they had no idea how to defend themselves. I don't think even if they had the weapons there, they would have known how, what to do with it. Sorry, just going down the chat. Simples, but Holy Island is tiny, but I suppose it was a stepping stone to England. Well, that's right. And don't forget, this is another thing as well. People are saying about the very first recorded raid being in 789 at Portland, then this one in 793 calligraphy. Thank you, Simples. I had a brain fart then. So yeah, they did the calligraphy and then they did illuminations. Yes, whoa, Lisa. See, a team effort. Yeah, do you know why? This is because my 1 hour live last night turned into 4 hours, and most of it was just spent screaming, laughing. So my brain was like mush earlier. And I've just lost my train of thought again. Oh, I've just completely lost my train of thought. Can anybody remind me where I was up to? Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I hate it when I do that. Right, I'll just try and I'll try and waffle on unless I see anybody reminding me what I was talking about. So so that's what happened on Lindisfarne. Now, I don't think that they realised that the majority of these monasteries and religious settlements were as wealthy as they just saw this, I think, as a hit and run. They went in, they annihilated them, they took everything that they'd got. What they didn't realise then was that the monks would come back again. Now, in the meantime, they're also raiding Ireland. Now, the Irish annals don't paint the Vikings as viciously as the Anglo-Saxon chronicles. And it appears that what they were doing were continuously raiding the monasteries in Ireland. Now, they were known for the silver work and the gold work, were the monasteries in Ireland. They were very, very skilled goldsmiths and silversmiths. So obviously, they would go over there, they would take what they'd got, but some bright spark amongst the Vikings realised, well, if we kill everybody here, there's going to be nobody here to continue making these wonderful and beautiful pieces of silverwork and gold, the jewellery, the book clasps, all the things that they would make. So they didn't annihilate people in Ireland the same way that they did on Lindisfarne, because obviously they wiped them all out on Lindisfarne, the initial monks that were there. So when they come back the next time, there isn't anybody there, is there? There's no wealth, there's nothing to be had, it's a wasted voyage. So that's my thought on it, was the fact that that was why that initial attack on Lindisfarne was so vicious. They didn't realise that they would have had a steady income, given a set period of time before the next raid, if they had left the people alive. But they had worked that out by the time they started raiding Ireland. And you can, as I said, again, I'll just go back over that. You could tell that by the content of the very matter of fact. I mean, it wasn't by any means downplaying the fact that they were being invaded, but what's written in the Irish annals is nowhere near what is written in the Anglo-Saxon chronicles regarding the slaughter on Lindisfarne. So it just shows that it wasn't to that same extent, if that makes sense to you all. Let me just go back. I'll just have a look through chat again and see what I've missed. Oh, hi, Joe. Hello, my love. Just because you would have missed it before, I'm still going to do America tomorrow. I know I promised you guys that. We're not doing it tonight. We're just doing a little bit of the background because it definitely is a short one tonight. But we'll be doing the Vikings in America tomorrow. So, but lovely to see you. Someone's make it Holy Island is tiny, but suppose it was a stepping stone to England. Yep. Cassis, they were ruthless. I suppose they knew no different. Well, no, they didn't. And don't forget the whole the Viking mindset was that, the fiercer a warrior you were, the more violent and bloodthirsty you were, the braver you were, you had more chance of ending up in Valhalla. So, you know, to us, yeah, the bloodthirsty, but they had one goal in their life apart from, you know, drinking and partying and getting jiggy with the ladies. Their ultimate goal was to be taken by the Valkyrie to Valhalla, where they would feast for all eternity with their fallen comrades and the relatives and the gods. So, you know, that was the way of life. Different times, you know, we probably find it quite hard to understand because we live in completely different times with completely different goals, but that was their goal. So, and probably that had a lot to do with the violence that our countries and others suffered at their hands when they were initially raiding. Let me see, Elisa, how close to reality was that show, The Vikings? It was pretty close, Lisa, but they have amalgamated different characters from different times into that, which I can understand because they're trying to get all the great people in there so that and it does make for a good story, but the lifestyle is pretty authentic. Oh, sorry, Cassie, to just notice yours. I know they mixed a few of the characters up. I thought that was Eric the Red at the end who went blind. I don't know much about them except what I learnt on that show. And Meadow says, I can't believe I didn't know all this despite living so close to Holy Island. I clearly didn't listen much in history lessons. I don't think many of us did, though, Meadow. And Frida and myself were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? I think you were in the chat at first, weren't you? And it would all depend on your history teacher. If they made it interesting and they engaged you and, you know, and they had some passion for the topic, then yeah, you're going to learn. But if you've got some boring old fuddy-duddy who's basically lost the will to live about teaching children, they're never going to pass that interest on to you. Sorry, just going down chat. It has been doing, oh, right. That's their form of heaven or the afterlife. Or does Valhalla literally mean heaven? No, Valhalla, it's the whole of the slain, the warriors, whole of the dead. So it's a bit like heaven, except it's just fighting and feasting and humping, basically. All the things that you did in life, you do to excess in Valhalla. And every night in Valhalla, after there was a massive feast, then everybody would fight, you'd kill each other, and you'd start all over again the next day, which sounds horrendous to us, but that was fun for them. So all they'd think about is that, you know, we'll wake up, we will drink mead, we'll get absolutely slaughtered, not literally. We will feast with our relatives, our ancestors, the gods, and then after we've had our fill of feasting, we'll get the swords will come out and we'll hack each other to death because battle is the best thing ever. And then we'll start all over again the next day. Cassius, I must admit the sacrifices were found it very intriguing the way they looked. Oh yeah, the Viking sacrifices, right. Meadow, I haven't been in years. I think I need to have a visit again after all of this. Yes, Meadow. I'm just sorry that I live so far away. I have been to Holy Island, but yeah, I would actually like to stay on there, to be fair, just to see if I had any, you know, woo experiences. See some of me, my Norwegian ancestors striding across the grass at the ruins towards me. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Do you mind? That's fascinating about Valhalla. Now they felt they could reach it. Well, that's it. And you know, the other thing as well was that you had to die with your weapon in your hand. And if you didn't, you'd end up in Niflheim, which is the land of the mists. And Niflheim is the best example I could give you is that it would. Niflheim was similar to, it wasn't hell, it would be very similar to the Christian or the Catholic purgatory. You know, a bit of a nothingness. So you and this was the other thing as well. It was a little bit like chivalry. You know, if you were fighting another Viking warrior and he fell on the floor and dropped his axe, and you were just about to plunge, and he knows that you're going to win this battle. He's at a loss, you're going to win him, but it was kind of the chivalric thing to do, is to place his own weapon in his own hand so that he would die with that weapon in his hand and would ensure that he would enter Valhalla. So, so that there were certain rules as well. If you didn't do that, then the soul of that fallen warrior who fell without his, his honor, really, you didn't give him his sword or his axe, then he would end up in Niflheim. So let's have another little look. Oh, Meadow didn't listen as much. The teacher was a perv, but that's another story. And Simple's actually, I only did history in 3rd year. Someone who'd taken my subjects didn't have any. Joe Madry, Cooper is a Viking, fighting, feasting, humping, cautioned you. You're absolutely right there. Absolutely right. Oh yeah, Ethelred, the unready Simples. Do you know what, Denny? It would be a cool paranormal investigation site. Maybe I should try and drag Mr. Sexy up there and say, right, we need to stay on Lindisfarne, and we'll get this EMF meter and this ghost box thing that he's talking about buying, and we'll see if we can come up with any of my Viking ancestors or the dead monks even. I think that'd freak me out a little. Pork chops. Oh, pork chops back. Just popping in to make sure you're all behaving yourselves. Show me the way home, Green Eyes. This is, for those who don't know, Green Eyes and Pork Chop have palled up together. They are now the new double act who are trying to outdo the current reigning champion double act of Lady Witch and Raven. So, Tisby Daddy, we need you, Pork. Don't leave. Green Eyes, Pork Chop, morning, my wingman. Simple as make it. Drive past me and I will go with you. Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? Hey, maybe we should do that. What do you think, guys? Yeah, you can stay on the island, Denny. If we didn't have the COVID, if that kind of eventually goes, can you imagine that? If we're like booked, I don't even know if there was a campsite there or anything, and we could all rock up and do a paranormal investigation on Holy Island. That would be brilliant. Oh yeah, Sharon up for it as well. Pork chop, so many commitments, but still plenty of pork. That should be plenty of pork to go round. You naughty boy. I saw it last night. All was well. Then Green Eyes. It's somehow, yeah. It just all went to hell in a handcart, didn't it, Cassius? But very, very funny. So another one of my thoughts as well was about the raids only starting in the late 8th century, because if you don't forget, if you look where Denmark is and Sweden, and Denmark's pretty close to the UK, Sweden a little bit further away, and then you've got Norway, which is very, very close to Shetland and Orkney in the north of Scotland. If you think about how long these civilizations have existed where they've existed, and the fact that they were a seagoing nation, why would they never ever have crossed the sea and visited us before? And there have been traces in some of the graves that have been found on some of the islands to indicate that actually trading was going on for probably a couple of thousand years between the Scandinavian countries and what's now the British Isles. So what suddenly made them start to raid? Because there appears to have been some quite peaceful trading, because the Vikings were trading all over Europe. It wasn't, and the Mediterranean. They found things. They found things in a lot of graves in Scandinavia that have been dated and do show that during these periods pre the invasion of the British Isles, that there was an awful lot of trade going on. So Yeah. And I'll just go back through the chart. Oh, it is pork chop and green ice for life. Plenty of pork. So in Bamborough sea houses, there will be plenty of places to stay. Depends on the tide changes for Holy Island. Yeah, because you have to drive across that causeway, don't you? Simples. Do you know what? I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into it. Sid. Oh, hi, Sid. I didn't realise you were in there, lovey. I'd obviously missed you coming in. I'm sorry about that. That was so rude. So here's a question. If you have to die in battle with your weapon to get into Valhalla, how do women get in, and therefore how do they hump to excess? Well, some of fallen warriors, you're either taken by the Valkyrie or you're taken by Freya. And you've got Valhalla, and this doesn't mean that you're not a warrior, but half of the warriors, half of them are picked to go with Odin, and half of them are picked to go with Freya. So you've got Folkvangner, I can never say it, Folkvangner, which is Freya's field, and you've got Valhalla, which is ruled over by Odin or overseen by Odin. So there would have been female warriors, Sid, so there could have been some humping because the women would have been, don't forget the shield maidens. Look at my name and the Skaldmere. That's shield maiden in Old Norse. That's why my name is Kiss My Axe the Skaldmere. Tisme Denny, 17 in the house. Feel free to say hi, Lurky McLurkertons. Yes, hello, please do feel free to come in. Ask questions if you want, but there's no problem if not. Pork chop, they had many female warriors. Yes, they did. I think at one point they didn't think that they thought that the Shield Maiden kind of story was a bit of a myth, because they would find female Viking graves and they would have things like swords in, more male-oriented artifacts, which, 100, 200 years ago, they'd start be thinking that that maybe these were the belongings of a dead husband, that they were precious items to these women. Then they found that actually no, these women, they found females with battle injuries on them and so on. So yeah, there definitely were some Viking warriors, female Viking warriors. The Vikings remind me of the Klingon warriors on Star Trek. Green Eyes pork chop. How funny was last night? Kept me amused all day. Green Eyes, I will tell you something now. Mr. Sexy and I sat on the sofa before while he was having his tea, and I played back that segment from 3 hours and 26 minutes. We were pissing ourselves laughing. It's how bad do I sound? So yeah, if you need a giggle, go back to that point and just play it on for about 40, 45 minutes or however long that lasts. Because I have never laughed that hard that I've been crying, which you can hear me on the replay. My sides were hurting. Yeah, it was brilliant. Thanks you guys who were in there last night, because that was the funniest ever. Yeah, Cassie, you know what I still was? I was lying in bed and I was chuckling away. Oh, so Sid's asked the question that you had, Joe. Hopefully I've answered that all right. Was that okay the way I answered it? Or what have I missed here? So it wasn't due to stuff happening in their own country. What do you mean about the raiding? No, something's obviously triggered it now. Whether there'd been a famine, Simples, that had pushed these people into saying, you know what, we've already been to this country. We know that they've got farms and they've got food and they've got animals and we've got nothing. So sod it. We've traded with them. We've been swapping barrels of salted herring for a bushel of wheat, but why trade when we can actually just take it? Because they don't look particularly tough. So maybe that was it. Who knows? Who knows? Oh my God, I've got a bloody flying midgie in my house. What the hell? Like a big ass mosquito. Weirdo. Um, so yeah, so there may have been something happening in their country, but we don't know what, because they didn't have the written record over there at that time, did they? So and really, if you've got somebody singing the sagas about your life, they're not going to say that you were all raggedy-assed, poor and starving for 1, 2, 3, 4 years because of bad weather and the fact that the farming land in that particular area you lived in was rubbish. It's just going to be all these wonderful tales. So unless we were to find a saga that would explain that, then we're never going to know. But that would be my guess. I would think that there would be something environmental, shall we say, that potentially could have started those raids off, because they all, it was in that quite a short period of time, 4 or 5 years, that it really escalated. Cassius says, Sid Vicious, I can see a shield maiden with a sword in hand grabbing a guy while croaking. Green Eyes, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Oh, thank you, Green Eyes. Thank you. Surely the women get a free pass. Well, there are tales, Tismy Denny, that the women were actually as savage, if not worse, than the men. And that's not just in Viking culture either, is it? If you look at Boudica, or Boadicea, whichever way you want to pronounce it, she was absolutely savage. She was renowned for being, no mercy was shown. She was, and rightly so. She was justified in her bloodlust, but and think about the Vikings, the berserkers. They would send themselves into a battle frenzy. Well, who's to say that the women didn't do the same thing? Especially if they're suffering from some form of PMT or PMS. Oh my God, do not give a woman with PMT a sword or an axe, because you're just going to, they're going to F you up. Let's have a look. Oh, smack that bell's arse so we're notified when Kiss goes live. That's a bit like Mr. Ballon, isn't it? He says stuff like that. Go over, tickle that bell until it giggles in your face, then kick it up the arse and stand on it so that it rings. Sorry, I'm not telling any of you guys to do that. It's just another channel that I like to watch. Green Eyes made a button sound sexy as fuck. She did actually, didn't she? Oh no, don't, Ralph, about. Oh, you're not having cheesy toasters either this morning, Green Eyes. I do not blame you one bit. Tismy Denny, bluewaffle.net is what's for dinner. Don't, that's disgusting. Yes, it is history tonight. Thanks for trying to keep them all in check, Cassius. I mean, obviously, we'll have a bit of a giggle when we've finished through it, but no, it's absolutely fine. Oh, so simple. Your friend is heavily into reenactment. A friend took his own life. The Valhalla thing is an issue. Oh no, that's really. I'm really sorry to hear that. And in what way is the Valhalla? Was he a Viking reenactor? Was he into, is he an Odinist? Does he believe in the Norse gods? Is that why you think it was an issue? Because if there is, there are ways to help the soul pass out of Niflheim. You may not get to Valhalla, but you won't be, in that non-land. It's been strangely warm for December in the UK. It has, although the temperatures suddenly started to go down tonight, lovey. Sheila, we laughed so much. It was the best. Oh, it was bloody hysterical last night. We did. Joan of Arc was a bit tasty too, Sid Vicious. Mm-hmm. There's some good films on Joan of Arc. Did the Berserkers dye their hair blue? Not that I know of, Simple as Meerkat. I know the Celts and the Picts would use blue dye. They may have done. They may have done. I personally don't know that. Right, let's see. Women have always needed to be fighters. We have, Joe. We have. Tickle the bell till the liver leaks over. Yeah, I can imagine the PMS savagery with the ladies. I know. Can you imagine that? I think 20 Shield maidens who were all just on a bit of a PMT hormonal rush would be far more savage and vicious and violent than maybe 100 men who were twice the size of them all. Just my opinion. But I wouldn't like their I wouldn't fancy the chances against 20 PMS suffering Viking lady warriors. Oh, I can imagine all his friends were upset and his wife simples. That's really sad. Greenhouse is laughing at pork chop. Have I missed him saying something? I can't. Oh, I can't see a pork chop comment there. Sorry if I've missed one there. Sorry about this. Right, I think I'm kind of up to chat. Simples, just because Gary Newman had an album called Berserker, and it was the blue period. Hair, nails, eyebrows, etc. in 1984. All right, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not saying they didn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't claim to know everything about the Vikings and what have you. I've not heard of them painting themselves blue, but obviously they tattooed themselves. They may have done, but the main ones I know about the blue hair and the tended to be the Celts and the Picts. They're the ones I know about. Right, I'm just double checking that I haven't missed. I'll be honest, Liz, I can't see him now either, unless Green Eyes might have been replying to a comment he made earlier on, because he was in the chat, but he's not staying in, he's doing something else, but just said he'll keep popping in and out. So, let's have a little look. So, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to just continue with a bit of general chit-chat about the Vikings and throw out a few questions, and we can start in earnest on the book tomorrow? What do you think? Because people do seem to have quite a lot of questions, or anything that you're unsure of, or anything that I've said. God, you're way behind there, Green Eyes. Love Mr. Ballon. Oh yes, Cassius the Eagle. It is a good film. That's the one with Jamie Bellin, isn't it? And Channing Tatum, I think. Just wait, because I'm pretty sure that's the film. There's another one as well, which you may not have seen, Cassius Centurion, and it's with Michael Fassbender, and that's about the Ninth Legion as well, going and getting stuck above the wall. I'll not give it away if you haven't seen it, but yeah, Centurion is a good one. It's a very, very good film. Lisa, perhaps try going out and coming back in. Man, just that's what doing what? Oh, oh, right, okay. I actually found that myself, Lisa, the other night. I tried to do emojis and it was just coming up with some weird symbols like a diamond shape with a question mark in the middle. Cassius, I saw that. It's great, The Centurion. It is. I saw The Eagle. That's a good film. Going to the Farne Islands is also fabulous. The seals. Yes. Or do you mean the... Oh, sorry. Did I misspell it? Farne, or do you mean the Faroe Islands? Or is this the Farne Islands, like Lindisfarne? Right, so just give me a little tick and I shall... Oh, Farne. Oh, right, so that's in that same area, is it, in the northeast Simples? Now, let me have a little sneaky peeky. Right, I've just found a little something. I've just been skimming through my book, which might explain, when we were talking about why they all of a sudden decided to start raiding. And this is a little bit I hadn't got to because I didn't intend to do this part tonight, but it doesn't matter. We can keep going backwards and forwards. Just before I do that, I want to go see the orcas up in Scotland at the end of the Shetlands. Lisa, they actually come through the Minch and go down towards where my dad lives in the northwest. So I have been lucky enough to, only from a distance, but I've seen a pod of orca came through and they were, oh God, were they minke whales? I think they were minke whales we saw from the beach, which was great. But yeah, the orcas they will come down through that little gap between up towards Skye and the mainland, and from the Outer Hebrides and the mainland. I mean, they probably are going all over, like round the coast of Scotland. It's just if you happen to be lucky enough to be there at the moment when they break the surface. But yeah, I'd like to see them close up. Lisa, I like the guy that was taking him back to retrieve the eagle. The clan in blue were nuts. Yeah, the seal people, weren't they, Cassius? And I was trying to work out who they were, looking from a Scottish perspective, and I'm thinking, who were they? I thought they're probably all the bloody lunatics that live up at Mallaig near me dad's. God almighty, the dog made me jump. Stop that. Sorry about that if anybody else jumped out of the bleeding skin. Anyway, I shall go back to this little bit I was about to read for you. So we're talking about why we thought that the Vikings had suddenly gone from traders to raiders. And there are a few different things. So there's been a lot of discussions, and because this happened from the 8th to the 11th centuries. And some people think that there was actually a population explosion. So Scandinavia, the reckoning that possibly suffered or went through a population explosion just before the Viking Age began. The Viking Age is what we call the Viking Age is the part of the Viking era that we're most familiar with, which was the raiding and the settling and so on and so forth. So the demographic model posits that Scandinavia encountered a population explosion just before the Viking Age began, because agricultural production was insufficient for the expanding population. Many Scandinavians were left without property and status. So, in response, these landless men took to robbery to acquire their riches. The population continued to grow, and pirates were forced to look further as they moved past the confines of the Baltic and eventually across all of Europe. There was an economic argument as well that says the Viking Age was the consequence of developing urbanism and trade throughout Europe. As the Islamic world developed, so too did its trade routes, and the riches that moved along them were pushed further north. In Western Europe, the towns of Anglo-Saxon England began booming in the what's known as the long 8th century, a very prosperous time in England's history. Scandinavians, like other Europeans, were attracted to these wealthier urban centres, which soon became the target for the Viking attacks. The relationship of the Scandinavians to larger and wealthier trade systems drew the Vikings into Western Europe at first, then to the rest of Europe, and finally to parts of the Middle East. In England, masses of Viking silver, including the Curedale hoard, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. It was found in the banks of the Ribble, not far from where I live. Sorry about that. And the Vale of York hoard illustrate this phenomenon. There's then an ideological argument that notes that the Viking Age coincided with the medieval warm period, which was from 800 to 1300 AD, and ceased with the beginning of the Little Ice Age, which was around 1250 to 1850 AD. The beginning of the Viking Age, which began with the sacking of Lindisfarne, also coincided with Charlemagne's Saxon Wars and the Christian Wars against agnostics in Saxony. Historians Rudolf Simek and Bruno Dumézil speculated that the Viking raids might have resulted from the spread of Christianity among agnostic groups. Professor Rudolf Sinek believes the concurrence of early Viking action during the rule of Charlemagne is not by chance. When Christianity entered Scandinavia, genuine clashes partitioned Norway for about a century. So maybe that answers some of the questions. So it kind of fits in with what I said, although this has gone into much more detail. Let me just see if I can find anything else. Right, there's a mechanical argument as well, and that proposes that the Viking Age occurred because of mechanical developments that enabled the Vikings to raid extensively. Raiding in the Baltic most likely predates the Viking Age. However, innovations in seamanship and the technology of the ships themselves allowed them to venture further and to raid faraway lands. These improvements included the development of larger sails, superior attachment practices, and round-the-clock sailing. So, let me just have a little look. In the latter half of the 18th century, even as the Icelandic sagas were used as important verifiable sources, the Viking Age had come to be viewed as a savage and uncouth period in the history of the Nordic nations. So there we go. What do you think of that? Let me just go back through, because I've not been looking at the chat, so I'm just going to come back and have a little sneaky peeky. You're talking about the seals and the orcas, some clever ways to get those buggers off the ice sheet. Savage, the circle of life. Joe is missing the ocean creatures. It's been like 2 weeks. I pretend my little dog is a baby seal. Oh, that's it, I thought. Anaheim, not for me. I think they were a clan of pigs. Yeah, they possibly were, Cassius. Channing Tatum. Yes, Channing was in the Eagle Tisby. Sorry, I'm miles behind on the chat, guys. Let's just see. Love orcas. Orcas are called killer whales for a reason. They've been found feeding on whale youngsters in the Monterey Bay in California. I know. Simple's meerkat. Then we had Indiana Jones up at Bamborough Castle filming over the last few months. Harrison Ford even came to North Shields and was seen on his bike. Oh, gosh. a local famous DJ who does regular programs on YouTube was doing a paranormal program on Holy Island when they were filming at the castle. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Oh, and there was me getting all excited because we had James Nesbitt down here filming for that Stay Close on Netflix, and you've got Harrison Ford. Meadows put, he came to where I live and had a pint down the road. Did he, Meadow? Did you see him? Harrison Ford. So, let me see. Oh gosh, we've done an hour and a half already. So, what do you think, guys? Do you want to leave the Viking stuff there for tonight, unless anyone's got any more questions? Because obviously I don't want to bore everybody rigid or it to get a little bit tedious. Because I want it to be fun and I want it to be interesting. You know, people who don't know about the Vikings, you want to come back and hear a bit more. So, what do you think? Maybe leave it there and go back to it tomorrow when we pick up on the Americas stuff. But I'm happy to do, you know, if we want to do like half an hour of chatting or so, and whether it's about Vikings or whether it's about anything and everything, whether you want to talk about the chaos and carnage that ensued in last night's last night's live, which was probably one of the funniest lives I've ever been in, even though it I don't mean that from a bragging perspective, even though it was my own, but it was bloody funny. Oh, does that sound all right then, Voodoo and Cassius? Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Like I said, I just don't want it to become like a history lesson. I'd rather we're having a bit of a chat and there's some interesting bits and pieces. But I think you'll find tomorrow night with the information about the Vikings arriving in America. Yeah, no worries, Joe. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, Denny, thank you. Oh, Lisa, what happened last night? Ugh. It started with me making a rather crude comment accidentally about an episode in a sauna in Norway. And then it just I can't even tell you. Basically, I was screaming, laughing. The chat just went into total disarray. Cassius and Green Eyes and Pork Chop and Lady Witch were all there, and Frida. I don't think who else was in. I can't remember. But yeah, Green Eyes Lisa. We went from serious to smut, but it was so funny. I ached from laughing. I nearly, at one point, I thought I was going to do a little wee. My stomach was hurting. Yeah, is that okay then, Sharon? Yeah, if we keep them kind of short on the history side of things, but I just find it so fascinating that I can start droning on, and I don't want to do that because there's nothing worse than somebody kind of preaching to you or telling you, and I just think that, yeah, having a bit of the seriousness. Cassis, I can't mind you saying someone's going to hate missing this. Yes, it was. I said Tismy Denny would be absolutely gutted that she'd missed it last night when we were in the middle of screaming, laughing. I went to watch Kelly Cochran police interview. Typical. Yeah. Well, do you know, it's still up those simples. It starts at round about. It's probably about 3 hours 20. I'm telling a story about being in a sauna, and then just stick with it because at 3:26 it all goes wrong. Yeah, Cassius, give it a watch. It was funny. It definitely was. Yes, we did all descend into debauchery. It was very near the knuckle, Lisa, but it was in a funny way. Yeah, we all take the blame for it. Yeah, I nearly did, Joe. I didn't quite. I was almost there having a little wee, but I very nearly did. Oh, I thought it would have been Cooper Cam that set off last night's craziness. No, Sheila, he was actually, well, no, he wasn't fully innocent. He did do a bit of humpage towards the end, and I did catch him on camera for everybody, but I think we were all laughed out at that point. It had just gone crazy. Danny, I'm going to catch up with it after this. Cassie's bloody typical. I missed it. Yeah, I just kept saying you you are going to be so sorry you've missed it. Because I know for a fact you'd have grabbed the link and you'd have been just up on the live laughing with me because I couldn't breathe. I was screaming at one point. And the thing is, if you rewatch it, what I suggest you do is watch it with the live, you know, the live chat replay on, because some of the stuff I'm laughing at, I can't even read out. Not because it's bad, just because I've lost the ability to speak. I was laughing that hard. So you'll understand what I'm laughing at if you can see the live chat replay. Tis me, Danny. I think Cooper is beginning to accept us all. He seems chill. He's kind of eyeing me up at the moment, like he wants to start something. Cassius, tis me. You'll get a good laugh. Pork chop was brilliant and green eyes. And Cooper, yeah, I forgot about the dog. I know Cassius. He was on there doing a bit of humping for a few minutes. Danny, mate, I'm genuinely gutted, but still so glad you had a crack. Now better for the soul that a good old belly laugh. Yes, and we did. We really did. Cooper started with the soft furnishings at the end of the live. Yeah. Oh, he can't help himself, can he, Green Eyes? I think he was getting left out because of the giddiness, so... But yeah, it was a very well needed laugh last night. And I just thought afterwards, when I'd got off the live and I was going to bed, and I thought, do you know what? I bet Bam would have found that. You know, I know it went a little bit raucous, but you know, some of the times when she's done a live and we've got a little bit saucy in the chat, and she's been belly laughing loudly down the speaker. I think she would have really enjoyed that last night. So I hope she's watched it, or at least someone, you know, if Mama Rat sees it and points her in the right direction, I really hope she doesn't listen to the whole thing, just listens to the bit we were all laughing at. Because, yeah, I think she would really, that'd give her a boost. I really do. Greenhouse, I'm really looking forward to it tomorrow, as I don't know much about Vikings. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, I know a bit. I don't know everything. I would love to know everything I could possibly know. Sid Vicious, it's very rare that a chat can make me laugh out loud, but last night had me howling. And don't start me off again, Sid. As you heard, I sat here with Mr. Sexy while he had his tea, and I said, oh, you know, shall I play this again? And yeah, he was trying to eat and laugh. I was just sitting at the side of him. My shoulders were shaking. So I've not, Lisa. I think, Denny managed to speak to her last week, but it was purely by chance. So Denny's the one that I know, and Mama Rat obviously, but no, I've not spoken to her. But we just keep mentioning her in the live, so she knows we're thinking about her. Denny, I've just looked up Holy Island, never knew of it before, so thank you very much. No, it's absolutely fine. And yet you drive to it at low tide. There's a causeway that takes you from the mainland over to the island. But if you see, it is quite a bleak area. So you imagine that those monks in the monastery and they're either praying or they're singing the hymns, or they're they're doing the illuminations on the Bibles, or which other beautiful texts that they're actually writing at the time. And then they just see these monstrous ships coming out of the sea, and these gigantic fellows wielding axes, wild and hairy and unkempt, and it must have been absolutely terrifying, because they did think that this was, God was raining his wrath down upon them for some evil that they may have done, or evil in the rest of the world. So, because they didn't have a clue, they'd never seen these before, which obviously leads me to believe that the Vikings had never actually attempted to trade with the monks on Lindisfarne, or if they had ever landed in Lindisfarne before, it may have been prior to the monastery being built there, because, as I saying, that there are artifacts being discovered that suggest that there was trade going on with the Vikings for 2,000 to 3,000 years prior to this. Cassie's got a link of Bam a while back. It was a runestone. Oh, a link off BAM. Well, it was a runestone in Sweden about oh yeah, Ragnar Lothbrok. It was interesting. Yeah, there's loads of really interesting and fascinating information out there. So there was nowhere to run to. It's a tiny island. It is. It's very tiny, isn't it? Oh, Tisby's giving us the update. Bam's having a tough time, bless her. She appreciates everyone, but will be back in her own time. I caught her off guard as I have a new number. She needs space, but knows we are all here for her. Yeah, yeah, and that's why I haven't sent her any more text messages. I sent her one at Christmas. I know Lady Witch has left alone, and I have runes, but I've no clue what they mean. Well, these aren't runes as in the runes that you've got and I have, because they're still called some of these rune stones. They're actually a monument, Lisa, and we've got them in this country as well. The Vikings, like a boulder or what have you, and they would inscribe runes on there to tell a story. So it would either be in honor of a particular warrior, and it would be detailing their acts of bravery or the raids or the, the skill as a warrior, and it would name the familial connections. So that's what Cass is referring to by a rune stone rather than the rune stones that you and I have. Sid Vicious, I've learned so much about the UK in a short time on here. Holy Island, the Northern Lights in Yorkshire, Orcas in Scotland. It's absolutely fantastic. Oh, that's brilliant, Sid. The thing is, so many people in here, that they've all got, I think everybody in here have got some really interesting facts and knowledge that they share. And when it all comes together, it's great, isn't it? Cassis, I'd drop it in, but I don't know if you'd get a strike. Oh, whatever. Go for it, Cassis. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You drop a link in. It's fine. And share it, and then people can have a little look at it. Oh, and did you see, Cassius? I pinned a comment on against last night's live with the details about the cross we were talking about near Stranraer, and it's the place, and I said it's called Kirk something. It's Kirkholm. So, oh, thanks for that. There you go. Cassius has dropped a link in for you, so you can have a look at that. But let's see. Cool, Sid. Where are you from? Sid, I'm in Wales. Lisa. What have we got? Oh, here he comes. Buggerlugs, pork chops. Everyone on their best behaviour. We are, but we are posting people in the direction of last night's chat so they can listen to how raucous it became. And the fact that you and Green Eyes were absolutely bloody hilarious. Tismin Denny, yes, sir, Pork, we've behaved mostly. And said, yes, it's from Manchester originally, but living in Wales now. Oh, Denny, you thought he was American? No, no, no. Sharon, I've saved a video. It's about Odin and royal bloodlines. That sounds interesting. If you, I don't know if you've got a link to that, Sharon, if you want to pop it in, because I'm quite happy. You're all mods. If you all want to go and stick, oh no, do you know what? I've not made Meadow a mod. Oh, Meadow, I'm really sorry, love. I totally, gosh, my brain. After this live, I'll make you a mod because we're all mods in here. So if you're still listening, I'm really sorry that you're not blue. That was an oversight on my part, and I do apologise. So yeah, Sharon, if you want to pop yours in, pop the link in, feel free. I think you just do it like you normally would, Sharon. If if you're going to just right click on a link and copy it, and then just come into the chat, go as though you're going to write a comment, and then just right click and paste it. Oh, I'll tell you what, my throat's burning off this vape tonight. I was hammering it a little bit earlier, though. Oh, yes, Burren. Thank you, Sid, for reminding me. If I ever do that, if you guys notice that I haven't modded anybody up, just let me know. Or press share if you're using a phone, if there's a copy button for the link. Yeah, thanks for letting me know that, Cassius. How's the non-smoking go? Yes, I'm on day 3 now. Day 3. I started to feel it yesterday badly, and so today has been a making and baking day. So I made I've made Thai green curry, I've made hot watercress pastry, I've made Mr. Sexy a steak, Stilton and pork pie, which is massive, and he'll be eating that all of himself because I don't like Stilton. Hi guys, listening but working away, and Meadow's still here. Right, well, Burren and Meadow, my rules in here are I make everybody a mod so that if anybody has little fallouts, there can't be any, not that anyone in here would do that, but you see it on other channels where somebody falls out with someone and because they're a mod, they go, oh, fuck yeah, and they block them. And then also so that if you've got any links that you want, you can post them up yourselves, and that everybody is equal. None of us are any better than anybody else. And in fact, I am actually the only person who isn't a mod on my own channel. So yeah, because it's our channel. I look on this as our channel. I host it, but it's you guys, and it's whatever you want to do on here. So yeah. So when you come on next time, I can't do it at the moment because I'm on my phone. When I come off the live, I'll make you both mods, and then the next time you come in, you'll blue and you'll have a wrench. It is weird, Burren Witch, how people behave. Meadow, still can't get used to typing in chat, so I keep pressing send before I'm ready. Bless you, I know. But you know what? I'm really glad you've joined in, and everybody else is as well, because it's great having a new face. Obviously, you're not new because you know everybody, but you've been on Bam's channel. But because you'll then also have a different slant on things we talk about, so it's great having, the new perspectives on things. So yeah, I hope that you come in more and you join in more, and yeah, really looking forward to what you're going to put in chat, which will be great. Oh, Burren Witch, you are special, love. You're all special. Let me just see. Oh, Sharon, you had Thai curry tonight. Did you make it yourself, love? It was really good. Tisby Jenny, jacket potato this evening. Thai curry sounds nice, though I rarely cook it. I've actually not had anything to eat because I was that busy making and baking. So the Thai, I think somebody's going to probably tell me off, but this is where I'm going to show that I'm just. Oh yeah, I put loads of bird eye chilies in it, Sharon. He actually sat there and he ate one, but. Oh, yours is a kit. Hey, I'll tell you which kits are really good, Sharon. I bet this is one that you've used. The ones that they sell in Aldi. They do a Thai green and a Thai red kit, and it's got all the cafe lime leaves and the chilies in it and everything. Sid Vicious. We've had the discussion, now we're on food. You know what's next, don't you? I know it's the smut comes next, Sid, but I'm determined it's not, because I will be going offline. I'm going to tell you all now at 10:30, which is so we have got 20 minutes to make it, sync, but at 10:30, I am going to stop the live because I've got to be up early in the morning. I'm back at work, and I don't know how my brain is going to cope with it's going to cope with having to go through emails and requests and all sorts of things. Only got a little, got the Co-op one. Oh, right, I didn't know Co-op did a kit. But yeah, well, if you're ever passing an Aldi, go in there because they have the kits and they are brilliant, really good. I did mine from scratch though, because it's clever like that. Marion's Kitchen are excellent kits. Not sure if you have them over there. I've not heard of them, Green Eyes. However, that's not to say that they aren't here. It's just I've not seen them. All the snacking on nuts is making my guts extra efficient. Are you, so long as it's just farting, not sharting, 'tis me Denny. Apple cherry yogurt and Lindt chocolate. Oh, is that what you're in at the moment, Simples? Lady Witch. Sid with Green Eyes and Denny at the ready. It's just a matter of time. It is. Because we always do that, don't we? Interesting stuff, serious stuff. Then we talk food, and then the smut starts. Dropping the kids at the pool 2 times a day also. Oh, Meadow, Green Eyes. I was meant to say, hoping I will get better with time, but messed up again. Oh, don't worry, Meadow. It was really weird when I first started going into chats because all I'd ever done was watch videos on YouTube, watch funny videos or music videos and dancing and horse riding. I didn't even know there were any such thing as lives. Yeah, Denny, keep it that way. No sharts, or we're going to have to get Lloyd to get you a cork. Did I do it right then? Lloyd? Oh, Green Eyes hit the enter button instead of the backspace. Denny says, Meadow, don't worry, hon, you'll get the hang of it. Absolutely, you will. You never know, Meadow, at some point, you might even decide to pop your cherry and come up on panel like Shaz did the other night, which was great. Oh, there, you said it, Lloyd. Did I do it right, Denny? Did I do the accent right? Lloyd? Green Eyes, no pebble dashing. I don't call that. I call it Japanese writing. Is that racist? If it was, I didn't mean it to be. But yeah, when you get the shit skadoodles down the back of the toilet pan, I call it Japanese writing. Sharon was great up on panel. She was. I love it when my mucker comes up, that Denny one, because she just makes me laugh. Even if she's talking seriously, she's, as I said the other night, she's always so jolly. She just makes me laugh. She lifts me up. You lift me up. Simple as meerkat. I might have to have a few voddies to do that. Well, have a few voddies because Sharon had a few beers. She was on the wife beater, wasn't she? Tis me, no pebbles, no clegs, no Klingons, no skid marks. It's a clean Mud Valley, folks. Oh, gosh. Angelic. You've got an angelic ani. You still not told me, though. I want to know how my Lloyd accent was. Did I get it? Did I nail it? For anyone who doesn't know, that's Denny's husband, and she shouts him like that. Oh, thanks, Kiss. It's you. You are great to chat and hang with. Oh, thank you, Denny. Listen, there's mutual. We'll be having an affair next, love. Hey, the men will be getting booted off. Sharon, I won't do that again. I was rambling. You wasn't. Sharon, you wasn't. And you're amongst friends. God, you listen to me rambling every bleeding night. It doesn't matter. It's absolutely fine. You sounded great. You weren't rambling at all. It's nerve-wracking, isn't it, the first time you go on panel? I was cacking myself the first part, when Bloody Bam got me up. I was like, no. Meadow, I would love to be able to come up one day. Well, you know what? I'm always posting. Oh, God, I've not done it tonight, have I? Right, I'm going to post it for my last 15 minutes, just in case anybody wants to come up. But, hang on. But yeah, at some point when you feel up to it, just post the link, even just hit the link, even if you just come up and go, hiya Kiss, hiya chat. I don't want to stay up. I just wanted to say hello and hang up. That's absolutely fine. Danny, oh yeah, but more of a Londoner type accent with the A. Laid like that. Oh God, I can't even do it. Yeah, Sharon, you've got the full backing of the crew, the blue crew. She has got a good accent, hasn't she, Simples? Yeah, we'll get Simples up at some point. I know Sheila said she doesn't ever want to go back, and we'll get Cassius up as well. Sharon, no, you and Kiss were great talking. Thank you, Cassius. Tis me Denny. Exactly. Anyone can pop in, even for a few minutes. Pop your cherry. Oh, thank you. I'm getting there then. Tis me Denny. Tis me Denny. Do you know what? We should start. And I am only joking, Meadow, when I say this, but I was going to say what we should start doing. We're doing the chant, shouldn't we? Get to hit the link so she comes up, go, Meadow, 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 Meadow. Hit the link, say hello, Meadow, Meadow. Sorry, lovey, I'm only teasing. Well, Lisa, one night I want to come up and tell my night hag story. I'm interested to see how many believe me. Oh, yes, please, Lisa, do. We'll do that. Maybe we could do that when Denny and I do the Enfield stuff. Sheila says, Sharon, you did so well. You were great up there. She did. I did like the end bit, though, you know, with the shadow. We're going, it's a shadow bastard. Oh, it's a scary story, Sid. Lisa's got a scary story for us because she saw the night hag. And I don't know about the night hag, so I'm really looking forward to that one. I still intend at some point, I think the whole chat will maybe manage to bully Lady Witch to come up and tell about her dogman encounter, because I really want to hear that. What week are we doing the paranormal, do you think? I'm cool for any time, mostly. Well, what do you think, Denny, about next week? Pick a day, and we do it next week, if you think. I'm trying to think, what day are we on today? 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe like the 10th or the 11th or something. Oh, that's great, Meadow. Your New Year's resolution. Yeah. And that's all you have to do, isn't it? Hit the link, come up. I go, hello, welcome to Meadow. And you just go, hiya, everybody, I'm going now, and hang up. If that's all you want to do, you're very welcome to do that. Because we'll all be laughing. You know, it's just the type of thing I would do. Simple as I have had sleep paralysis, but never the night hag. I remember you on about that, Simple, saying about the sleep paralysis. Cassis, I've got to try talk a bit more clear and all eyes and nose instead of yes and no's. Oh, but I understand you, Cassius. Don't worry. I can translate. I can be the resident translator for all things Scottish. Sharon, yes, Lisa and the witch, hag and lady's dogman story. I know. Just had to Google what the night hag was, Green Eyes. He does have a good accent, doesn't he, Denny? At least, so that's all right. Look at my dodgy accent. But that's the thing, guys. Every single one of us think we sound dreadful. I think I sound bloody awful. Well, I did last night, sounding like I was about to part with a lung. Bloody Muttley impersonation. Oh, Jove. The night hag sounds fascinating. Not heard it. I look in the mirror and I think I look like a night hag. No, you don't. No, remember, Joe, get your Californian head straight on. You look like Salma Hayek. Remember? We had this discussion not too many nights ago. Was it New Year's Eve? I can't remember, but yes, you are Salma Hayek. Oh, you see, everybody's liking the old accent there, Cassius. I like your accent because it's like home to me, even though you're on a different coast and your accent's not exactly the same. But, you know, it's Scottish. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, there you go. See, Joe, Salma. It's like I call Wolisa. Is it? Oh, what's it? Sorry, I've gone quiet then. I was trying. Is it Rona Meet? Rona Mitra, isn't it? The actress, because she reminds me of Wolisa. Oh, sorry about that. I just knocked myself out again. What an idiot. Let's see. That's good. I was going to add subtitles. Thank you all. Salma Hayek is one beautiful woman, beautiful human. Damn. Everyone hates their own accent. They do, Simples. We all do. Sid, my accent is pretty much the same as yours, Kiss. Oh my God, you're calling me a mank. Are you calling me a mank, Sid? Really? I'm only kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's much of a muchness, isn't it, from like the central nut? Well, probably from, yeah, Manchester, going north before you get to Cumbria. We all talk very similarly, don't we? You're welcome, Lisa. You know I always say that. Oh, what? Is Voodoo Queen? Have I missed a Voodoo Queen comment? Sorry, let me go back up. Voodoo Queen, hey Green Eyes, have lots of fabric sites for you. Do you prefer email or WhatsApp? Ah, that's what it was. Anyway is good, whatever is easiest for you. You're not quite a broad mank. You see, some people say Manchester and then they mean somewhere like Tilsley, which I look on as more like Wigan. You know, oh, what's the other place round there? So that, and then you've got the other side of Manchester again, which isn't the broad mank. Cassius, your laugh is great, gets me giggling every time. He has got a good laugh, hasn't he? I should have got you to come up on panel last night, Cassius, shouldn't I? And Green Eyes. In fact, we should have just all been up on panel laughing together, because you could all hear me, but I couldn't hear you buggers, could I? Maybe I'll do that next time. The next time we end up in one of those manic, crazy laughing fits, yeah, the link's getting posted, and anybody who's laughing has to hit the link and has to come up. You don't have to say anything, but we all need to hear the laughter, because I just sounded like a hag last night. I wanted to hear Raven laughing like I was. I wanted to hear Green Eyes snorting. I wanted to hear Cassius. I wanted to hear Pork Chop. Yeah, it would be a laugh, that, wouldn't it, Cassius? I think last night, can you imagine that? If I didn't even think to do it. I was just laughing so hard. I could hardly speak. No, Sharon, well, you heard me, didn't you? The stay timing. Yeah. So I think he might still be listening, he might not. But next time he's around, we will definitely say to Pork Chop, we at some point are going to book him. And that was book, BOOK. If you're listening, Pork Chop, we'll book him and he can get his Green Eyes wingman, and he can definitely start to cause a little bit. Problem is, though, that was so, it was just random, wasn't it, last night? It was one random comment that made Green Eyes laugh, and then it just went. Actually, Voodoo Queen, sorry, I've just seen your thing there. Why don't I'll put the link in now. I'll not bring either of you up on panel. Both of you hit the link. You can exchange information in private chat and then go off again. How's that? I'll do it now for you both, because you might be waiting forever for the old bedtime clown. So here you go. So that's for you guys. Voodoo Queen and Green Eyes. So you two hit the link for StreamYard and you have your conversation backstage, and I'll keep the chat interested in other things. Tis me, Danny. Porky, we are booking you. We need the meat here. Yeah. The thing is, though, I think if it were planned, it wouldn't be as funny, would it? And as I said, Denny, once you've gone back and listened to it, you'll realise it was just flowing, and it was so rude but so funny. So yeah, if I forget, if it happens again and I forget, please somebody remind me to post the link and we'll start a laugh-a-thon. Because I could, oh God, I couldn't fucking breathe. Pardon my French. I was determined not to swear tonight. It was, oh, what did you say then? It was, but if there's a couple of a few up, it gets funny. It absolutely would have got funny, wasn't it? Wouldn't it? Yeah, it definitely would have been, Cassius. Like I said, I was hurting when I was in bed last night. Danny, I was just thinking about that. Times like that do occur, but you can't plan them. That's what's so wonderful in the moment, totally unexpected. Yeah. So as and when it happens again, if it starts getting raucous, somebody, one of you remind me, say, drop the link, laugh-a-thon. It'll remind us all, and then that's it. Because I can have 10 people. I think it's up to 10 people I can have on panel. So there could potentially be 10 of us just all screaming at each other and trying to watch chat. But yeah, that would remind me of kind of Nuff Nuff when she's had a panel going, or on Salty's when Salty has a panel going and people are just screaming in the on panel and the chat's going wild. So simple as make it. I love that when you can feel a laugh bubbling up when you think of something. Well, I swear, Simples, if you want a giggle, go back and listen to that from last night. Like I said, it's around about was it about 3 hours 20, I think. You'll know the bit because I am relaying a tale. This is just before it started. I'm relaying a tale about a sauna in Norway, and listen to it from that point because it's normal, and then it just goes off on one. So yeah, if anybody's in need of a lift, maybe don't have any littlins around because there was not horrendously bad swearing, but you know there was a couple of F's and Jeffs. Said Vicious, the banter works better when it's spoken. It's hard to add to something if you have to type it. Yeah, you're right there, Sid. I mean, can you imagine what would have happened if you and Cassius and Porkchop, Green Eyes, which Raven, if and Frida, if we'd have all been on panel last night, that would have just been, yeah. I think we'd have still been going now. Sheila, I'm definitely going to listen. Yeah, I do apologise. I'm laughing like Muttley. Voodoo Queen, sorry, I don't know if I missed you. If so, sorry. Yeah, I think Voodoo Queen's just been having a listen in the background and doing other things. But yeah, at the moment, I think she is probably backstage. I've just dropped the link for her and Green Eyes so that they can exchange details. Have you done it? All right, cool girlies. Oh, I never thought Green Eyes. I should have nipped in because I've already got Voodoo Queen's details. I should have nipped in as well, shouldn't I? And just given you my. Oh, in fact, I tell you what, Green Eyes, ask Voodoo. You've got my permission. Can you give? Would you be okay to pass my number on to Green Eyes, please? And then she's got it, hasn't she? If that's okay. I just thought then I should have just joined you in for a couple of minutes in the private chat and swapped my details. But yeah. So if you want my details, Green Eyes, ask Voodoo Queen for them. I'm quite happy for her to pass them on. You can always send me I can always send you a photograph of a blue waffle if we ever get bored. How's that sound? Right. Let's have a little look in chat. What have I missed? What have I missed? Right. So, okay, now I've got to my set time limit that I was determined to stick to tonight. Perfect. Oh, thanks, Voodoo Queen. Yeah, I never thought to pop in myself, but yeah, if Green Eyes wants it, yeah, pass it on to her. That'd be great. Right, guys and gals, lovely Blue Crew, and soon to be 2 new members of the Blue Crew, and Pork Chop if you're still listening but doing other things. Can I thank you all? Were you happy with how that? Oh, Lisa, I'm up for work in the morning, and I came on for an hour last night, and I was on for 4 hours. It was gone 2 o'clock in the morning. I was absolutely knackered this morning. So did how we did it tonight, did that work for everybody? Do you want me to stick to the same kind of format tomorrow for the Americas stuff, or, you know, do anything a little bit differently? What do you think? Well, it's 10:30, so I'll say thanks to you, Kiss and all in chat. Oh, you're welcome, Sid. Oh, I'm going to enjoy it. Simples. To the Denny. Well, thanks again, Kiss, being an amazing host and preserver of our online. Oh, thank you, Denny. All good. Thanks, Shaz. Yeah, I know, Lisa. Yeah, I will be on longer tomorrow. I'll be coming on 8 p.m. UK time. I have already put it up. I've put an upcoming live on, so if you want to click the reminders, set the reminders for that one. It's 8 p.m. tomorrow. I've put it up already. I did 2 tonight on StreamYard, so I've put it as an upcoming live, and it's been set. So if you click on that one, I think if you go, I know it works for me. I think if you click onto my channel and go to my videos, it should be there as an upcoming live for tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Denny. Thank you. Yeah, good night. Yeah, I'm already sitting in there. What a do. Oh, did you hit the wrong one, Simples? All right, everybody. Thank you, Cassius, love. Thank you. And I'll hopefully see all or most of you, if you can make it, tomorrow. So, as always, I shall finish in my usual way. It's become my little thing, this now, hasn't it? It's like Casper Sight shouting, "Shadow bastards!" Right, so, oh, one last message. Night said, I'm going to grab a bath. Great to see you all as always. Night kiss my ask and kiss my ask. Kiss my axe and everyone at Meadow. Looking forward to it. Good night, everyone. Good night, my love. Good night, Simples. Good night, everybody. And Lady Witch, night night, darling. And hopefully see you tomorrow. Okay, as always, see you on the bright side.